Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, and today is another double feature. It is the weekend Western double feature that we've been doing in the month of February. I realize this is, I think, probably a few days out of the weekend. I haven't had time to record a short video on my thoughts on these two films. But anyway, and also right now it's like super late, at least for me. I normally don't record this late. I usually record during the day, so I might be a little bit tired. I might stumble over my words, but we'll see how it goes. But I hope everyone's enjoying their weekend and also their February, and I hope that this double feature is exciting and gets you excited for the Western genre as I am. So today we're going to talk about two classics, one from 1953 and another from 1968. All right, so the first film we're going to be talking about is 1953's Hondo. So the thing is about John Wayne, I am not necessarily the biggest John Wayne fan in the world. I have seen The Searchers and a lot of other John Ford related films, and I've enjoyed the things that I have seen, but I've not necessarily been too enthralled with John Wayne films. And I would say The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance probably is my favorite John Wayne film, more for Jimmy Stewart. John Wayne plays a secondary role, primary as well. But regardless, Lee Marvin as well is really, really great. But John Wayne in Hondo, we're talking about Hondo. So Hondo stars John Wayne, of course. Geraldine Page is his other lead, who is his love interest, who is Angie Lowe in this film. And she has a lone homestead on Apache territory, and she's with her really young son, Johnny. I want to say 7, 8 years old. I could be wrong on how old that kid is. I have a really bad time and aging people. But regardless, those two are there, Angie and Johnny. And then John Wayne pops up as Hondo, as a cavalry rider who lost his horse and is just trying to defend them from the Apache who are ever encroaching onto their land. And then also you see the cavalry as well happening upon the land as well. And so they're just that cowboys and Indian kind of traditional fight. So Hondo is actually a half Indian, half white character, which is very interesting. And I think that John Wayne plays an interesting character, a very complex one. There are some moments, obviously, when we come to the modern context of things where you kind of look to the side and you're like, whoa, okay. But regardless, you have to think about the time period of when this is happening. Of course, it's the early 50s, of course. And thinking about that, you're also thinking about what's going on in the world. And when I say that, I mean, obviously, the Red Scare is happening, the Cold War is really, really fresh, and a lot of people are trying to escape to the movies. So there's this interesting dynamic going on with this film. But Hondo is actually one of those films that is kind of a classic for a lot of people and one of the better John Wayne films, and I would have to agree. I really enjoy it. There's even a really great scene where Johnny gets thrown into the river, which I absolutely love, and everyone has seen that gif before, I'm definitely sure. But regardless, the other people who are playing in this film, we have Ward Bond, Michael Pate, who plays our character, our main Apache star, who is definitely not Native American, James Arness, and Rodolfo Acosta as well, who plays, I think, a second in command of the Apache, who is the closest, but is not. I think he is Mexican-American, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Hondo, great film. I enjoyed it. And yeah, if you are in the mood for a classic Western, one that is touted as one of the originals and one of the better films. This is maybe along the same timeline as Shane, but I think this film might be a little bit better than Shane if you're just kind of, looking at the two different characters here and what we're seeing unfold. But regardless, both are good films, and yeah, I recommend Hondo. All right, moving right along to 1968. So we're jumping quite a bit of years. We're jumping 15 years, and we're now to Clint Eastwood, the other classic Western star. So John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, those are the names that pop up when people think of Westerns anymore. But regardless, Clint Eastwood, 1968, this was around the time that Clint Eastwood was done with Italy, or at least for the time being, and he has been kind of outside of the spaghetti Western films. And so he came back and he made a film called Hang 'em High right here. And I've had this on my shelf for far too long. And so we have Jed Cooper, who is Clint Eastwood's character. And this is 1873 Oklahoma. He just purchased some cattle, which we see off screen, and he's leading them across the river. And then he gets stopped by kind of a combination of outlaws and people who are hunting for bounties and just trying to, deliver justice. There's some sheriffs and more or less lawmen around with them, but not necessarily the best lawmen in the world. And anyway, they claim that he killed the owners of the cows, and took them from them. And even though he delivered papers that would show that he had ownership of this thing, even though he had died and he never signed any papers, regardless, that's kind of the complex part of the story. It's actually not that complex of a story, but regardless, it's also late for me. I'm kind of rambling. He gets hung because they're like, oh, we got to deliver to this justice here, right? But he doesn't die. He gets saved, and of course, when this happens, he comes back to another town. He pretty much revives and eventually becomes a deputy, right? And eventually becomes the marshal in the town that he's in. And then he enacts just straight up justice and gets revenge on all these characters who wronged him for doing this. So anyway, we have a great cast here. We have Ed Begley. I will say one of the characters I really enjoy is Bruce Dern, which I didn't realize until I kept thinking about it, and I kept looking at this young Bruce Dern and thinking, I know this person, but I don't know where I've seen him before. And it feels like it's so long ago that it's crazy that Bruce Dern was in a film from 1968, young. But anyway, time's an illusion. He's really great in it. He's really scummy as well. There's also a Dennis Hopper little cameo. He's not really in it that long, but he's in this film as well. But going back to Clint Eastwood post-spaghetti western, this is a film that is a lot of fun. It's more in line with the traditional type of western, of course, with a modern edge to it in the 60s, of course, and a little bit more revisionist western. But it certainly is not of the ilk of Sergio Leone films or Corbucci films that we have seen during this time period. So they're not that grand, but this is a lot of fun, and it's almost like he did all those films for Leone, and then came and did this, and it's like, I want to kind of do something myself. And this is actually directed by Ted Post, and it's written by Leonard Freeman and Mel Goldberg. And yeah, it's just one of those films that it just feels like one of those traditional westerns of the late 60s. I will say there is maybe one detractor in this film. It does meander a little bit towards the middle. It has a really great start to it, and it has a really fun end as well. But it definitely does not stick with you as much in this character. And there's some really weird actions that we have from Jed Cooper and in this film that I think is very interesting. And there's some interesting camera shots as well. But regardless, hang 'em high, a lot of fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. This film right here and Hondo right here, these are really fantastic films and a lot of fun just jumping through this Western double feature, this weekend Western double feature that I'm doing. But anyway, what about you? Have you seen these films? I know these are some classics. I'm glad that I'm able to finally watch them and be in the mood for them. But I want to know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. What have you been watching? Have you been watching anything of the Western variety? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Comment down below, share, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.